Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This is a book review of Red Rising. Now, Red Rising, I don't know how I feel about it too much. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to try and come off as like bashing this book or anything because that's not what I do here. I just want to talk about it. I didn't have high expectations going in because like I'm just now getting into sci-fi again. I have barely read any sci-fi. I think the last sci-fi book I read was John Carter of Mars, which I really liked. With Red Rising, I don't know what the feeling was, but I don't know, it just wasn't as good as I expected. And I've noticed a lot of people that have read the first book of Red Rising actually have like said the same stuff. And it makes me feel pretty good that it's like, all right, maybe it's not as, I don't feel as bad then. Maybe we all have the same ideas. Because the first like 50 pages of this book was actually really good and I enjoyed it a lot. It was just after that, it was like, and it just fell right off for me. I couldn't get into it. The characters just were really hard to follow. It wasn't even just that. It was just the training sessions. I don't mind books when they do training stuff, but oh man, this felt like it took forever to get through. And it's like, oh man, can we move on already? It just, man, I couldn't. I sat there and I almost quit reading it a couple times. I was like in the 200 page mark, but I'm like, I'm almost done. Just, I'll make it. But with this book, I tried really hard to enjoy it because it is one of the sci-fi books I really want to read. And I decided, to read this one compared to like Dune. I actually plan on reading Dune soon, so there's that. But with Red Rising, I was hoping it would really just blow my mind, but it really didn't. It kind of just made me feel lukewarm after I finished reading it, which was kind of upsetting. The other thing is too, I did give this like a 3 stars because like I said, most of it after the first 50 pages was like, oh man. But the first 50 pages was just a banger. Like the first paragraph of the whole book talks about Adaro's father getting hung. And that was nuts. So that really sets the tone. And then you meet Darrow. And yes, like Darrow goes through a lot. And the other thing I thought was really interesting in this is they talk about how people are like old and they're like in their 40s, which to me, I don't think that's old. But like they would refer to them as like old people, like elderly. And that was just really interesting to take. So then my first thought was like, oh, people die really young in this. And it was a pretty normal thing because when you're reading this, he sets the tone quick of how messed up the world is that Darrow lives in. And I really do enjoy it. I thought that was so cool. And then it just went from there to like Hunger Games level of just that. Like it was legit like Hunger Games. So I guess that was like my biggest complaint. The moral of it was fine, I guess. Everyone says the Golden Sun is when it just like becomes really good. So I might do Golden Sun next, but I might just do audiobook for the Golden Sun just so I don't buy the second book and just go from there. And if I really like Golden Sun, then I'll buy Golden Sun and then I'll buy book 3 and then go from there. Who honestly knows? I might do it. I don't really know yet. But yeah, I gave this book a 3 stars. And which 3 stars doesn't mean it's an awful book. Doesn't mean it's a bad book. It just means that it's an average book for me. It didn't really make me sit back and be like, wow, that was an amazing book. And which is fine. Doesn't mean it has to be. And it was a quick read. I'm not gonna lie, I read it in like 3 days. Which I will say, I was pretty impressed with how fast I read this book. Because it's not a slow paced book. It's not even 400 pages, but man, there was some parts where it felt like it was dragging on. And it's just, I don't know. Like I read Memory, Sorrows, and Thorn, which is a very slow-paced book, and I was more invested in that. And that was, like I said, I'm not lying. That's a very slow-paced fantasy series. If you guys like slow-paced fantasy series, check that out. Highly recommend. Oh man, the Red Rising book just didn't feel enjoyable. And the other thing that really threw me off about it was they keep saying it's YA. There's no way this is a YA book. That's what blows my mind. But then I learned that like if you have teenagers as your main character, Apparently that means they're just considered a YA series, which I did not know. That just like blew my mind. Which just seems weird because it's like, this is very violent and it's a lot of swearing and stuff. And I mean, I've read YA books in the past and it's like never like any of this. So it really just threw me off for a moment. But I mean, all in all, I didn't mind the book. Would I read the second book? Maybe. I'll probably just do audiobook instead, which is fine because you're still enjoying the book. And that's what writers want you to do, is to enjoy their work. If you made it to the end of the video, I do appreciate it. And make sure you guys check out all my links down below. I also have a book right there. I have 2 books actually. So make sure you guys go check them out if you want. I'm not going to force you to. Check out all my socials down below. Follow me on Instagram. I'm doing a weight loss journey. And I'm also posting weekly of books and book reviews and doing life updates and stuff like that as well. And follow me on Goodreads because I'd like to see what you guys are reading. You guys see what I'm reading and we can go from there because I want friends on Goodreads. And of course, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. And the most important thing of it all is make sure you guys stay safe, stay hungry, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.